First up, number 11, Dakota Joking. His non-gender his brother Lady Charles, and his sister, Deja Joking. A transfer from Northern Oklahoma College, this marks Dakota's third season with the Saints. During that time, he has averaged 6.5 points and 2.9 assists over his 54 games played, 19 of which have been starts. He has also shot 45.9% from the field and 35.9% from beyond the arc. Dakota has earned his bachelor's degree in recreation administration and is pursuing a master's in business administration. Ladies and gentlemen, number 11, Dakota Joking. Next up, number 22, Ben Kreitz. And his parents, Ben Kreitz. While St. Peter's 5 seasons in the program, Ben has appeared in a total of 82 games, where he has averaged 10.4 minutes per contest. His career totals include 141 points scored, 35 blocks, 17 steals, and 135 rebounds. A recent graduate earning his marketing degree, Ben is now working on Masters in Business Administration. Number 22, Ben Kreitz. Number 13, Delmarcy's Boy. A transfer from American Academy of Art, Delmarcy's has made an immediate impact in his lone season as a Saint. A starter in all 26 games, he leads the team in rebounding and 8 boards per contest while averaging 11.1 points per hour. A 2-time conference player of the week, Delmarcy's is a biology major. Ladies and gentlemen, number 13, Delmarcy's Moore. Number 3, Jeffrey Medley. His parents, Michelle and Jeffrey Senior. His siblings, Marion, Michelle Hurt. His uncle, Vernon Johnson. His girlfriend, Ryan Bates. And his own coach, Cliff Allen. In his 2 seasons as a Saint since transferring from Northern College, Joffrey has been quite the shooter, putting up clips of 53.4 overall, 47.8% from beyond the arc, and 85.4% at the foul line, leading to a total of 588 points or 12.3 per outing. A conference player of the week earlier this year and the team's leading scorer at 15.8 points per game, Joffrey has made 47 starts among his 48 games played. He is a marketing major. Ladies and gentlemen, number 3, Jeffrey Medley. Number 2, Delshawn Simmons. His grandmother, Carolyn Simmons. His aunt, Beverly Johnson, and Sharon Simmons. And his cousin, Rita Boyd. In his 2 seasons since transferring from Oklahoma Central College, Delshawn has shot 41.2 from three-point range, leading to a 6-point scoring average. He has also produced a 2.6 assist clip in his 50 games played, all but 3 of which have been starts. Delshawn is majoring in supply chain management. Ladies and gentlemen, number 2, Delshawn Simmons. Eric has been quite the all-around player in his 2 seasons at St. Francis since transferring from Coach X College. In that time, he has averaged 11.8 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 2.3 assists per night, while shooting 57.9% from the field. This season alone, he is scoring at a 15.4 points per game clip. Overall, he has appeared in 48 games with 47 starts. A two-time conference player of the week, he is a values-based management major. Ladies and gentlemen, number 45, Small. About one more round of applause for our 6 seniors. They're both joking. Ben Bratz, the Huskies boy, Jonathan Miller, Deshaun Sims, and Eric Small.
Ladies, I can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Patriot Courthouse Simulation. Please be Titans on USF and University of St. Francis Fighting Saints. Here's right now, the series today's starting lineups. This is the order visitors and Titans behind USF Bank. At number 67, at number 60.
Good afternoon from the University of St. Francis, where the Fighting Saints host Indiana South Bend in the regular season finale of CCAC play. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's game as the Saints look for a little revenge against Indiana South Bend. They fell to the Titans the first time they matched up this year. Back in early January in Indiana, that game was not close. 26-point victory for the Titans. But St. Francis has done a good job of getting revenge this year. They've done it twice already to teams that previously beat them in conference games. We'll see if they can do it again today. The opening tip is won by the Titans. Indiana South Bend is in red, going from left to right. St. Francis is in white, going from right to left. Titans take the opening possession, swing it around the perimeter. It's C.J. Hornbeek working his way into the paint. Pull up just inside the free throw line is good, and the first 2 points of the game belong to the Titans. St. Francis comes into today's game with a 19-7 overall record, 14-5 in conference. They beat Viterbo in their most recent game. Jumper for Dakota Joachim doesn't go. The rebound belongs to the Titans. C.J. Hornbeek, who scored the first 2 points, now has the first rebound as well. Hornbeek works against Joffrey Nunnally inside the three-point arc. Spins and kicks it back outside Colin Schmidt. Prior to the shot from Colin Schmidt, a foul is called on the floor against St. Francis. Indiana South Bend enters today's game with an 18-9 record overall, 13-6 in conference. So they're one game behind the Fighting Saints in both of those standings. Knocked away and stolen by DeMarcus Moore, which makes this a big game as far as seeding is concerned in the conference tournament. Again, Indiana South Bend did beat the Saints in their previous encounter. Merrick Small spins inside. Small puts it up and misses. Ball is loose and chased down by Dakota Joachim. Second chance for the Fighting Saints. Moore tries to give it up to Merrick Small. The ball is knocked loose, though, and stolen. Kyle Olegbegi comes away with it. Olegbegi streaks down the floor through the defense and lays it in. The junior out of Frankfort, Illinois, not all that far from here, is the leading scorer for IUSB. and he's got his first points this afternoon. Dakota Joachim, jump pass into the corner, wide open shooter, and Joffrey Nunnally gets the Saints on the board. Nunnally is one of the top 5 three-point shooters in conference this year, and St. Francis's leading scorer, just south of 16 points per game. Oleg Beggy with DeMarcus Moore's hand in his face, banks it in. Good post moves from Kyle Oleg Beggy, who's got 4 in a row. 6-3 South Bend. Early on in this one. Merrick Small looks to his right and finds Delshawn Sims. Lob down low for Moore. DeMarcus Moore flings it inside for Merrick Small, who throws it down. First points for Merrick Small. Joffrey Nunnally is St. Francis's leading scorer on the season, but the last month or so, it's been Merrick Small who's been leading the offense. He's got his first 2. 1-point game, and a whistle, a foul on the floor, called against the St. Francis defense. That foul is on Merrick Small, and that's number 2 already on Small. So that's huge at the 17-14 mark of the first half. I just mentioned he's the guy who's been leading the offense over the last month. And now he'll have to lead in spirit from the bench. I imagine we won't see too much more of him before halftime. So that means that Ibrahim Mobayed comes in for St. Francis, wearing number 10. Defending Mark White on the drive, kicked outside. Oleg Beggy for 3. He is hot to start today's game. 3 for 3 from the field. He's got 7 points. Back to a 4-point game. Mobayed passes off to Joachim, whose pass is deflected out of bounds. It'll stay here. He was trying to get it under the basket and was not able to sneak it through. Too many defenders in his way. Bounced into DeMarcus Moore, one of 6 seniors celebrated today on senior day before the game. Delshawn Sims carries it inside. Sims tries to dish it last minute, and he's fouled. That'll be on the floor, and it's the first foul of the game on Indiana South Bend. Foul is called against Andrew Hedgepeth, junior from Ohio. Delshawn Sims guarded by Hedgepeth. Passes up top to Nunnally. Mobayed hands it to Nunnally. Step back for 2, and it's an air ball. Fight for the rebound, lost out of bounds, and Joachim touched it last. So we're going the other way. 9-5, a good start for Indiana South Bend. Ben Kreitz makes his first appearance of the game for St. Francis. Kreitz, another of those seniors honored before the game. In fact, their entire starting lineup was made up of seniors. Ben Kreitz is the 6th and final member to make his first appearance on the floor. Hedgepeth jacks up a 3 and hits. South Bend is 5 for 5 from the field to start today's game, a couple of them from 3-point range, and they have opened up a pretty big early lead. 11-5 is the score. That shot from Hedgepeth was ruled a 2, so that's why it's 11-5. Joachim penetrates. Joachim fading away, doesn't get it to go. Titans in the other direction. Hedgepeth drives with the left hand. Hedgepeth turns around, fires outside. Colin Schmidt misses the 3. Finally, a miss from Indiana South Bend. They had made their first 5. And we'll see if St. Francis is able to run through this opening they've been given. Moore bounces to Ben Kreitz. Back out to DeMarcus Moore. High post, Kreitz turns around, fires to Joachim. Shot clock is under 10 as Moore receives it in the post. Moore bumped at the rim, scores, and gets the foul. Big play for DeMarcus Moore and a chance to make it a 3-point play on the other side of a timeout. 11-7 Indiana South Bend has the lead with 14:43 to play in the first half. Great offensive start for Indiana South Bend, but St. Francis is making their move with a potential three-point play here. They can cut into this and make it a three-point game if Moore is able to make the free throw. I mentioned that St. Francis started 5 seniors today on senior day. You see that a lot. The seniors will get the start on senior day, but in the case of the Fighting Saints, that's their lineup. It's the usual starting 5. The only one of their starters this year who was not a senior was Colton Hansen, junior transfer who has been out for a month plus. So the starting lineup down the stretch of the season, which includes Dakota Joachim instead of Hansen, has been 5 seniors. Very veteran group, and I guess not surprising for a veteran group like this. They have been steady as can be late in the season. Fighting Saints got off to a hot start this year. They were 7-0 before losing their first game, and then they couldn't win or lose 2 in a row. They went on a stretch for close to a month. Actually, it was slightly over a month, where they alternated results, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, and they finally went on a streak again in late January and won 7 in a row before falling to St. Xavier a week ago today. So currently they're on a stretch of 8 wins in their last 9 games, trying to make it 9 of 10 to end the regular season. DeMarcus Moore is at the free throw line. He already scored the 2, and now he makes it a 3. First 3 points of the game for Moore, who came in averaging 11 points per contest. Indiana South Bend has had the lead the entire first 5+ minutes of this game. Trying to extend that lead. It's Mark White working around the perimeter. White feeds Oleg Beggy, who throws it out of bounds. He was looking for Colin Schmidt. Tossed it a little bit too high for the 6'6" Schmidt. And it's a turnover committed by IUSB. St. Francis could tie the score here with a 3-pointer. Ben Kreitz receives the pass, fires over to Joffrey Nunnally. Into the corner, it's Moore. DeMarcus Moore drives and kicks. 3-ball, Delshawn Sims rattles around and doesn't fall. It would have tied the score. Instead, Indiana South Bend can extend their lead. Down low, Oleg Beggy working one-on-one with Moore. Oleg Beggy, fadeaway jumper. I think that was tipped by DeMarcus Moore, but the rebound is tipped out to Oleg Beggy, and he's fouled. Good start to the game today for Kyle Oleg Beggy out of Lincoln Way East High School here in Illinois. Foul was on the floor as Moore is called for his first. So Hedgepeth set to inbound to Oleg Beggy. Takes it back up and in. Tough shot for Oleg Beggy. Contact as well, no foul called, but he's got 9 already in this game, just over 6 minutes in. Nunnally up top to Moore. Swung around right side, Delshawn Sims. Ben Kreitz hands it right back to Sims. Dakota Joachim gives to Ben Kreitz with a shot clock running down. Joachim fires a left-handed 3. Misses off the side of the rim. Drive from Hedgepeth. Layup, no. Rebound to DeMarcus Moore. Moore on the move. Fires it into the corner for Joffrey Nunnally. Pull-up jumper, yes. Joffrey Nunnally for 2. He's got 5 in the game, and it's back to a 1-score contest. Hornbeak nearly lost it, but the ball is kept alive to Oleg Beggy. Drive from White, pulls up underneath the basket, outside Schmidt, high arcing 3-pointer, misses short, and the rebound goes to DeMarcus Moore. After a hot start, South Bend has slowed down considerably, and the Saints looking for the tie again, can't do it. Moore's 3-pointer glances off the side of the rim and rolls out of bounds. Second unit comes on for Ryan Marks' team. Connor Casper, Grayson Harrington, Justin Morgan. Joffrey Nunnally stays in the game. Merrick Small is back out there as well. Small's been on the bench with 2 fouls that he picked up in the first 3 minutes. So Ryan Marks is rolling the dice with his senior, giving him a chance to play through those foul issues. James Stevenson is in the game for South Bend. He gives the ball to C.J. Hornbeek. Hornbeek kicks it out to Ethan Hill. Hill backing in on Casper. Beautiful pass to the cutter White, and Mark White finishes with a reverse layup. Great pass from Ethan Hill. He gets credit for the assist. South Bend's lead is back up to 5. Lob down low. Merrick Small into the corner. Swung around. It's Nunnally. Good closeout defense there from Mark White. Merrick Small's got 2 points so far for the Saints. He bounces it over to Nunnally. Nunnally drives, step back, 2-pointer misses short. Long rebound, still on the floor as it's poked into the backcourt and chased down by Joffrey Nunnally. Ahead to Casper. Grayson Harrington thought about the 3. He pulls back instead. The Fighting Saints reset the offense. 11 on the shot clock. Joffrey Nunnally finds Connor Casper. Casper looks low, finds Merrick Small instead up top. Handoff Morgan. Morgan's got to get a shot off. He throws it away instead. Intercepted by Indiana South Bend. James Stevenson gets the steal. And a big stop for South Bend. Ethan Hill on the run, lays it in. Quite a turnaround there for South Bend. They held St. Francis off the scoreboard on that last possession. That possession ran over 50 seconds. They ran the shot clock all the way down twice. But South Bend got the stop, and then they scored in 5 seconds on their trip down the floor. 7-point game, approaching the midway point of the first half. Merrick Small loses the ball on the dribble. It's picked up by Kyle Millender, and Millender is immediately called for the travel. Not quite in control on the takeaway, and so it'll go as consecutive turnovers. The steal for South Bend, followed by the travel. St. Francis ball with 10:33 to play in the half. Morgan is the inbounder. Looking down low, he tries to feed Merrick Small. Small makes the catch in traffic and lays it in. That was a nice layup by Merrick Small, but a really impressive catch on a difficult pass. Well done by the Fighting Saints. Small's got 4. C.J. Hornbeek spinning inside and fouled by Nunnally. Two free throws coming up for IUSB. C.J. Hornbeek scores 10.5 points per game. About 1.5 of those typically from the free throw line. 77% shooter. He makes the first. That makes it 18-12. Indiana South Bend has led for the whole first half so far. And the lead is up to 7, which matches their biggest of the game. Grayson Harrington, the redshirt freshman, leads the offense for St. Francis, and we've got contact underneath the basket. So a long way from the basketball, a foul is called. It goes against C.J. Hornbeek, his first. St. Francis will reset this possession. Inbounded to Small. Morgan kicks it to the left side. Casper looks low. Doesn't have anybody there, so he backs it out. Handoff to Morgan. Justin Morgan. Turnaround jumper, tough shot, missed it short. Indiana South Bend looks to extend their lead. James Stevenson nearly lost the ball there. Was able to keep control, get inside, flip it up with the left hand and in. New best lead for South Bend, a 9-point advantage for the visitors. Remember, they took care of St. Francis with no problem the first time they matched up. They're trying to do the same again today. Grayson Harrington gives it to Joffrey Nunnally. Long three-pointer, well off the mark. And the Titans can make it a double-digit lead here. Ethan Hill inside. Hill gives it up to Stevenson, and Stevenson traveled before putting the ball on the floor. That'll take us to a timeout with 9 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the first half. strong showing so far from Indiana South Bend. I'll be back in just a moment. 9-point lead for the Titans. (21-12), Indiana South Bend leads St. Francis. 9:10 to play in the first half. Titans have led this one throughout. Slow shooting start for the Fighting Saints. They're just 5 of 15, while the Titans have gone 9 of 13 so far. St. Francis trying to turn things around with Justin Morgan in possession. Bounced over to Merrick Small, handoff Dakota Joachim. Joachim finds an open shooter. Justin Morgan misses the three-pointer short. And that contributes to the frustrating start for the Saints. They've been missing on some open looks from the outside. Hard to get into a rhythm early in the game. A.J. Dunn takes it down low for IUSB. Dunn kicks it back out. Ethan Hill into the corner for Millender. Millender works against Harrington, puts it off the back of the rim and misses. Rebound to Casper. Joachim feeds Small again in the post. Double team. Small bounces to Casper. Joachim from the baseline. Nice touch. Dakota Joachim's got his first two. Back to a 7-point game. Dunn stepped down the baseline. We're going the other way. 5th turnover committed by IUSB. That's been the black mark on their offensive performance so far, considering they're not missing a whole lot from the field, shooting better than 60% right now. But 5 turnovers is a lot through the first 12 minutes. Justin Morgan tries to get around Dunn and can't, so he passes out instead to Dakota Joachim. Joachim gives it to Merrick Small. Small quickly double teamed out to Morgan. 3 ball is good. Well, they've been double teaming Merrick Small every time he catches it in the post, and that time Small made them pay, finding the open shooter, Justin Morgan, who this time knocks down the 3, but the little runner on the other end for Ethan Hill puts South Bend back on the scoreboard. 6-point game. Morgan towards the middle, passes off to his left. It's Joachim bouncing down low. Casper, extra pass to Small, and Small finishes at the rim with a foul. Great ball movement on that possession from St. Francis. All around, everybody touched it. And Casper was able to get it off to Small at the last instant for Small to lay it in and make it a 3-point play. 23-20. St. Francis was down by 9 a moment ago, but they've gone on a very quick 8-2 spurt. Drive from A.J. Dunn. Dunn gets around 2 defenders. Good body control by A.J. Dunn that time. Shook free of both Morgan and Casper. His first points of the game. Back to a 5-point lead for IUSB. Just about 6.5 minutes to play in the first half. Dakota Joachim works his way into the paint, finds Merrick Small. Good fake from Small. Nice work all around. A nice find by Joachim. And excellent patience from Merrick Small before picking up another 2 points. He's got 9 to lead the Fighting Saints. Drive from A.J. Dunn. Dunn pulls up in the paint. Bounces it out to Stevenson. Stevenson, turnaround over Small, misses, and Casper comes streaking in for the rebound. St. Francis has the momentum. They could tie the score with a three-pointer. Merrick Small, cross court for Morgan. Morgan takes that three-pointer, but doesn't make it, so it remains an Indiana South Bend lead. Quickly across half court, Millender, almost poked away by Grayson Harrington. Millender keeps the dribble alive, doesn't use the screen, drives to the left, up over Harrington and in. Merrick Small came over late to help, but Small's playing with 2 fouls, so he's got to be careful. Millender seemed to recognize that fact and gave him a little extra advantage as he makes it a 5-point lead for IUSB. Small bounces inside. Small scores through the contact. Big play, Merrick Small, and he'll try to make it a three-pointer. What a contribution Merrick Small has been. He sat down with 17 minutes to play in the first half after picking up his second foul. And Ryan Marks decided to go back to him very early. Only had him sit for about 5 minutes. And since returning to the floor, Merrick Small has scored 9 more points and looking to make it 10. Can't get the free throw. All the starters are back in the game right now for the Fighting Saints. They trail by 3 with a little over 5 minutes to play in the half. Oleg Beggy back in the game for IUSB. He was the hot hand early and continues to be after checking back into the game. Kyle Oleg Beggy has 11 points. He and Merrick Small are even for the game lead, and Oleg Beggy is now catching up to Small in terms of fouls committed as well. He grabs Small, jostling for position, and it will be St. Francis basketball after the timeout. 4:58 to play, 29-24. Indiana South Bend has the lead. Titans got off to the fast start. The Saints have weathered that storm. They put themselves back in position to tie or eventually take the lead, but they have not been closer than 3 in quite a while. Indiana South Bend, remember, made their first 5 shots. They haven't been quite as hot since then, but they haven't been bad either. They're 8 of 14 since that 5-for-5 start, which means for the game they're at 68% right now. They have committed 5 turnovers, and St. Francis has done a pretty good job of turning those into points on the other end of the floor. But, the Saints are shooting just 46% from the field right now. So they're trying to keep pace, but they haven't really made their move yet. The lead for IUSB has been as big as 9. And after their early flourish, that lead has been cut down as low as 3, but not lower. 5-point game right now. It is St. Francis ball, so they can make it a 1-score ball game on this possession. Ben Kreitz is back in the place of Merrick Small, who did not pick up his 3rd foul in over 7 minutes on the floor after returning. Lobbed in for Kreitz. He gives it up to Dakota Joachim. Back to Kreitz. And another foul is called, this one on the offense. So on the same possession, we had 2 separate fouls called away from the ball. One on IUSB. This one is on Dakota Joachim. And that makes it the 4th turnover of the contest committed by St. Francis. So South Bend has the lead and the ball. Oleg Beggy looking down low. Instead, hands it off to Mark White coming around the perimeter. White kicks it back outside, and we've got another whistle away from the ball. This one, though, is not a foul. It looks like he's got an injury. And Ryan Marks doesn't know why it's not a foul, because Delshawn Sims is a little banged up, and I think what happened there is he ran into a screen, and Ryan Marks thought it was an illegal screen. Sims is okay. He's staying in the game. Hedgepeth floats it up and in. Second bucket today for Andrew Hedgepeth. Lead is back up to 7. Ryan Marks continues to fume that no foul was called on the offense on that possession. Instead of a turnover, it is 2 points for IUSB. Sims over to Nunnally. Down to the corner, Joachim. Thought about the three, got done in the air. Joachim steps in and knocks down the two-point jumper. Freed himself up with a good fake. On the other side, it's Dunn, who passed up on what may have been an open look for him. Instead, he works it around to the opposite end of the floor. Schmidt now at the top, back to Dunn on the wing. A.J. Dunn drives in on Nunnally. Into the corner, Colin Schmidt. Oleg Beggy with 10 to shoot. Guarded by DeMarcus Moore. Drives with the left hand. Oleg Beggy floats it up and misses. His first missed shot of the game. He wanted a foul call. Saints are on the run. It's Delshawn Sims slowing it up. Everybody gets back for both sides. We play the half-court game. Ben Kreitz against Schmidt. Gives it over to Delshawn Sims. Sims to the wing and Kreitz. Back out to DeMarcus Moore. Three-pointer misses off the right side of the rim. Still a 5-point lead for Indiana South Bend. It feels like it's been a 5-point game for the majority of this first half. Oleg Beggy uses his power to back in on DeMarcus Moore and knock down the jumper from just about 5 feet out. 13 points for Kyle Oleg Beggy. Under 3 minutes to play in the half. It's Dakota Joachim to the top of the key and DeMarcus Moore. Moore looks for help and finds it. It's Joffrey Nunnally on the wing. Nunnally got off to a good start, quiet of late. Gives it to Ben Kreitz. Here's Delshawn Sims looking down low for DeMarcus Moore, and he doesn't have him. It's out of bounds. He and Moore not quite on the same page. DeMarcus Moore was making his way up to try to get closer to the pass, and Sims ended up floating it over his head just off the fingertips of Moore. Merrick Small checks back in for the Saints following the turnover. So all 5 starters on the floor once again for St. Francis. In fact, both teams have all 5 starters on the floor. Andrew Hedgepath drives right around Delshawn Sims and lays it in. 6 points for Hedgepath, who entered today's game averaging 6 points per game. Merrick Small looking for the back cutter, well defended, gives it up instead to Delshawn Sims. Sims finds an open Joffrey Nunnally, and Nunnally misses on the three. Bounced up off the rim and hit the wiring above the backboard, so that's out of bounds. And that gives it back to the Titans, who have matched their largest lead of the game at 9 points. With under 2 to play in the half, they can take their first double-digit lead of the game on this possession. Mark White circles, drives, gives it to Colin Schmidt, and Schmidt lays it in. It's an 11-point game, 6 straight for Indiana South Bend. Saints are trying to find their bearings before halftime. Get it back to reasonable distance. Into the cutting DeMarcus Moore. Moore works one-on-one with Oleg Beggy. Tough shot, and he scores underneath. Got Oleg Beggy back for the good post move he made a couple of possessions ago. Now DeMarcus Moore has a nice move underneath. Hedgepath floats it towards the rim. No good, and Joachim is fouled on the rebound. South Bend is over the limit, so Dakota Joachim will get free throws on the other side of the floor. Or we'll get at least 1 free throw, maybe 2. Depends on whether or not he makes the first one. 37-28. It was an 11-point game, so if the Saints can score on back-to-back possessions here, things will look a heck of a lot better coming up on the final minute of the first half. 1-1 for Joachim. 83% foul shooter. Makes the first. Here comes the second. Got them both 37-30. Good bounce back from the Fighting Saints after Indiana South Bend scored 6 in a row. St. Francis was able to get back-to-back scores. Schmidt hands it to Hedgepath. Hedgepath working with the dribble, picks it up and gives it to Schmidt. Under a minute to play in the half. Shot clock down to 10 as Joachim pokes it away from Mark White. White gets it back, but just 5 seconds to shoot now for Hedgepath. Deep three-pointer. Hedgepath misses. Rebound, Joffrey Nunnally. Here come the Fighting Saints. Looking to score at least one more time before the half. Delshawn Sims into the corner for Joakim. Out to Sims. Sims directs traffic, bounces over to Merrick Small. Small trying to take Stevenson off the dribble. Passes backwards to Sims. 6 to shoot for Dakota Joakim. Spins into traffic, gives it up to Small. Turnaround, no. Rebound, IUSB. Colin Schmidt. One last chance for IU South Bend to advance their lead before halftime. 5 seconds on the clock. Hedgepeth takes it at Delshawn Sims. Hedgepeth, turnaround jumper, yes, at the buzzer. And we have reached halftime here in Joliet. Good start for South Bend. The Saints were able to keep it close, but Indiana South Bend gets the buzzer beater to extend the lead up to 9. They've been up the entirety of these first 20 minutes by as many as 11. They're close to that number as both teams make their way to the locker room. I'll be back in about 15 minutes. I'll get you the stats from the first half, and we'll get 20 more minutes of basketball. IUSB ahead by 9 at the break. 39-30, South Bend leads St. Francis after the first 20 minutes of basketball. Second half on its way in just about a minute. Terry Bonadonna with you to bring you the second half action as both of these teams try to end the season on a winning streak. St. Francis beat Viterbo on Wednesday, and overall they've won 8 of their last 9 games. Indiana South Bend won 4 in a row before they fell to Indiana Northwest on Wednesday, and so they've won 4 out of 5 coming into play today. The first time these two teams met, Indiana South Bend had a dominant victory. St. Francis trying to get the revenge today, but so far they've had a tough time of it. They have not led at any point in today's game. Indiana South Bend scored on their opening possession and then never looked back. They made their first 5 shots on their way to shooting 67% from the field. In the first half, St. Francis shot 44%. Three-pointers, neither team was all that effective. IUSB 1 for 4, St. Francis 2 for 10. Turnovers, 5 committed by the Saints, 5 committed by the Titans, so that's been pretty even. Rebounds have been 15-10 in favor of South Bend, but that's really just a product of the fact that St. Francis has missed a lot more shots. We haven't really seen any offensive rebounds, and overall the shooting in today's game has been pretty solid. Individual leaders, Kyle Olegbegi has 13 points to lead all scorers. Merrick Small has 11 for the Fighting Saints. Dakota Joachim has added 6 points to go along with 3 rebounds and a team-high 3 assists. St. Francis basketball as we start the second half. Going left to right now. Inbounded to Delshawn Sims, and away we go. Nunnally gives it to DeMar Moore. Bounced over to Delshawn Sims on the wing. Sims looks around, can't find anything inside the arc, so gives it back to Dakota Joachim. Merrick Small tried to find DeMar Moore in the post, but the ball is deflected away and stolen by IUSB. Schmidt over to Olegbegi along the baseline. Olegbegi comes up short on the reverse. Joachim takes it the other way. A rare miss from Kyle Olegbegi. He went 6 of 8 from the field in the first half. Delshawn Sims looking for his first points of the game still. Gives it over to Dakota Joachim. Moved around to Nunnally. Small bounces once, hands it to Moore. DeMar Moore looks to split the defense and gets fouled. First foul of the half. It goes against Indiana South Bend. And it's called on Kyle Olegbegi. That's a big one. That's number 3 on Olegbegi. He and Merrick Small have been going at it today, and both of them got into foul trouble. Merrick Small picked up 2 early. Olegbegi was never really in trouble in the first half, but he is now with 3. DeMar Moore is blocked, and a jump ball is the call as Colin Schmidt got his hand on it. Possession arrow favors IUSB. Neither team has scored in the opening minute of the second half. Andrew Hedgepeth sets up the offense for the Titans. Over to Schmidt. Colin Schmidt kicks it outside. White into the paint. Mark White spins towards the basket, throws it off the backboard, no good. A lot of contact, no foul call. Scott Cooper isn't overly excited about that on the IUSB sideline. DeMar Moore makes the pass to Joffrey Nunnally. Got it for 3. For an instant, it looked like Moore was going to pull the trigger on the 3. He saw a slightly better shooter open to his right, made the extra pass, and got the assist as a result. 6-point game as the Saints are called for a foul. This goes on DeMar Moore, and it's number 2 on him. So he and Small both have 2 out of the Saints' front court. Hedgepeth set to inbound. Lobs it in for Olegbegi. Still on the floor with those 3 fouls. He sat 8 minutes in the first half. Not sitting here in the second as he misses the turnaround jumper. And a loose ball foul is called on St. Francis. Delshawn Sims' second foul. So there are 3 Saints now with 2. Inbounded to Olegbegi. Given to Hedgepeth. Back to Olegbegi. Gives it to Mark White on the left wing. with under 10 on the shot clock. White fires it high to Hornbeek. Down low, Oleg Beggy working against Moore, and DeMarcy's Moore gets the block. A clean block from Moore. Joffrey Nunnally pulls up at the baseline and backs it up. 6-point game. Saints have trailed the whole way. They've been within 3 a couple of times, never closer than that. A reaching foul is called on Colin Schmidt. Second foul on Schmidt, so he becomes the second Titan with more than 1. Oleg Beggy, who has 3, checks out, and James Stevenson comes back into the game. Nunnally fakes the handoff, looks at the basket, bounces inside, turnaround jumper for Nunnally misses. Fight for the rebound is won by Dakota Joachim. DeMarcy's Moore for 3, rims out. Here's Hornbeek. Hornbeek pulls up, passes out. Schmidt drives, stripped by Nunnally. Schmidt gets it right back. Hedgepeth drives and kicks into the corner. Schmidt finds an open Hedgepeth for 3, off the rim. Another rebound for Dakota Joachim. Joachim drives around Mark White. The ball poked away from behind and out of bounds. It'll stay with the Fighting Saints. 39-33. Not a lot of offense so far in the second half. That's in and out of the hands of Merrick Small and intercepted by IUSB. Pull up down the lane is no good from Hornbeek. IUSB still has not scored in the second half. They've got one to go in the final second of the first half as Hedgepeth steals the pass away from Small. Hedgepeth bounces to White, and White off the glass misses again. So because they scored in the closing second, I can tell you exactly up to the second. That Indiana South Bend has gone now 3 minutes and 55 seconds without scoring. Foul is called on Schmidt. Gave a push to DeMarcy's Moore from behind as Delshawn Sims tried to give him the lob. Joffrey Nunnally hit a three-pointer early this half for St. Francis, and they haven't scored since. So there have only been 3 total points on the board in the first 4 minutes of this second half. There's been a lot of fouls, 5 of them called already. More fouls than points since halftime. Grayson Harrington and Connor Casper come in for the Saints. Moore and Sims sit down. Sent in for Small. He bounces to Joachim. Nunnally fires over to Harrington. Down low, Joachim finds Connor Casper under the basket, blocked by Stevenson. James Stevenson comes in from behind. Connor Casper thought he had a free lane to the rim. CJ Hornbeek backs in on Nunnally. Hornbeek steps back, steps in, and draws the foul. Joffrey Nunnally called for his second, so he's the 4th Fighting Saint with 2 fouls in this game. Nobody's got more than that. 2 shots for Hornbeek. That finally ends the drought. First point of the half for IUSB. CJ Hornbeek, 3 of 3 from the free throw line. He's the only one who's taken free throws today for South Bend, and he's made all 4. Back to an 8-point game. It was a 9-point lead for IUSB at halftime. They went 4.5 minutes without scoring, but their defense was able to bail them out because St. Francis has only scored 3 points this half, and it's been about 3 minutes since they've gotten anything on the board. Casper, 1 dribble. Step back jumper is good for Connor Casper. You don't see Connor Casper looking to create his own shot all that often. He's done it now on 2 possessions in a row, and this time he gets the jumper to drop. Hedgepeth answers. Nice little floater in the lane for Andrew Hedgepeth. Speaking of guys who have outperformed their usual offensive output, averages just under 6 points a game. He's got 10. Merrick Small misses at the rim, and the rebound grabbed out of his hands by Ethan Hill. Hill turns on the Jets, gets inside, misses short, but a late whistle and a foul called against St. Francis. That'll take us to a timeout. 14:42 to play in the second half. Still anybody's game. Indiana South Bend leads 43-35. Neither team has done much scoring since halftime. Good shooting in the first half. IUSB was 67%. It was unreasonable to expect that number to stay that high. But they got off to a disastrous start in the second half. They missed their first 7 shots before finally getting one on the board again. They're now at 54% for the game. St. Francis is hitting their field goals at only 41% today, including 2 of 7 in the second half. This for a team that shoots about 49% for the season. So they're well under their season shooting average right now, and they've got time, just under 15 minutes, to try to turn that trend around. They've been playing from behind the whole way, never by a lot. The biggest deficit was 11, and that was very short-lived for IUSB. For the most part, it's been about a 5 to a 9-point game. A number of times in the first half, the Saints were able to get within 3. They haven't been closer than 3, though, since it was 6-5. And it bears repeating that IUSB scored on their first possession. So there have only been a few seconds in the entire game, about 18 seconds the whole afternoon, in which IUSB has not held the lead. And that was when it was 0-0, just for those first 18 seconds. First free throw misses from Ethan Hill. That's the first missed foul shot of the day for South Bend. They had made their first 4. He misses them both. That turns out to be a good foul on St. Francis, especially as it was only number 1 on Dakota Joachim. And now Joachim is fouled on the other end by Mark White. White is intimating that Joachim lost his footing on his own. So a frustrating foul called against him, but it is a foul. It's the 4th on IUSB. Grayson Harrington gives it up to Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally finds Casper. Connor Casper puts it on the floor. Gets it back to Nunnally. Nice fake from Joffrey Nunnally. Feeds Harrington in the corner. Grayson Harrington knocks down the triple. Just a 5-point game once again. 43-38. Looking for the quick response. Andrew Hedgepeth has been the hot shooter all day, and Hedgepeth made a gesture to St. Francis's bench. Ryan Marks wanted the technical call on him. Didn't get it. Lob down low and intercepted. Joachim's pass is picked off by Ethan Hill. 8-point lead for IUSB. Hill bounces to Stevenson. Ball given up to Mark White. White drives, flips it up and in. Acrobatic layup for Mark White, and IUSB is finding that shooting touch from the first half again. Grayson Harrington gives it to Dakota Joachim. 10-point game, just the second time today that the lead has reached double digits for IUSB. Harrington finds the cutting Casper, loses the ball, but it was last touched by the Titans. 9 on the shot clock for St. Francis. They turn to Justin Morgan off the bench. DeMarcy's Moore comes in as well. Grayson Harrington is the inbounder. Fires it into Morgan. Bounce pass to Merrick Small. Small drives, fading away at the buzzer, banks it in with the shot clock running out. Big bucket for Merrick Small. Back to an 8-point game. First points this half for Small, and an offensive foul called on Mark White. He turns it over for Indiana South Bend. St. Francis is trying to grab some momentum now. 48-40, just under 13 minutes to play. Harrington bounces to Morgan. Morgan, pull-up jumper, short from about 12 feet out. Rebound chased down by White. Drive from White, slowed down by Morgan. One-on-one, White turnaround, no, good stop by Morgan. Grayson Harrington streaks along the sideline, gives it to Nunnally. Good pass to Merrick Small, and Small lays it in. Merrick Small peeled away from the defender and got himself an open look. He's got 15 to lead all scorers, and now he's got a steal on top of that. Grayson Harrington sets up the offense for St. Francis. Harrington pull up from the foul line, can't roll it in. The Titans slow things down. It's Hedgepeth. Bounced over to Hill. Hill throws it off the backboard, no good. Halted by Merrick Small. Small at the top of the key. Takes it at Stevenson, passes out to Nunnally. Now it's to Marcy's Moore. Moore jump stop in the paint and a travel. A little bit of hesitation after that jump stop, and it's a turnover. (48-42), 11:26 to play. Right back where we've been so much of the afternoon. IUSB has the lead, but not a big one. A.J. Dunn gives it to James Stevenson. Stevenson works his way in from the foul line, loses the ball, stripped and taken away by Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally takes it at Hornbeak and scores. Joffrey Nunnally's into double figures. It's just a 4-point game. The Titans' lead has been as big as 11. Hornbeak, pull up, no, rebound Moore. And now the Saints can pull within a single score for the first time since the opening few minutes. Nunnally, pull up from the free throw line, got it. And it's just a 2-point game, 48-46. As close as we've been in the second half. Defensive foul called on Grayson Harrington. As Millender took the ball at him, Harrington couldn't quite get his feet set on time. And so it's a foul on the Fighting Saints. 48-46, 10:27 to play. Oleg Beggy back in. He's been the best player on the floor when he's been out there, but mired in foul problems. He's got 3 of them as he returns to action. Gets the inbounds pass. Steps behind the three-point line and immediately makes his impact felt. He's been on the bench the last several minutes, and as soon as he comes back in the game, he gets back on the scoreboard. 16 for Oleg Beggy and only about 15 minutes out there. DeMarcy's Moore over to Justin Morgan. Morgan dribbles inside the three-point arc, passes out to Harrington. Moore to Nunnally, 4 to shoot. Joffrey Nunnally gets the screen, has to get a shot off, and he doesn't. It's thrown away. I don't know what came first, the out of bounds or the shot clock violation, but it is a turnover with 9:50 to play in this one. Two teams go to their benches for a timeout. 51-46 is our score. I'll take a quick break. Back in a moment. Good game coming down to the final 10 minutes. 51-46, IUSB holds the lead over St. Francis. Both these teams will be playing this week in the CCAC tournament. Their seeding, their opponents, their locations, not all determined yet. St. Francis does know that they'll get at least one home game in the conference tournament. Indiana South Bend needs a win to clinch that, although they can get it with a loss as well, depending on some other results. Mark White passes over to Hill. Now it's Dunn. Dunn works against Justin Morgan. Dunn backs in, still with the ball in his hands. Steps back, the jumper misses, but he's fouled by Morgan. So A.J. Dunn goes to the line as Justin Morgan picks up his first foul. Dunn is a 73% foul shooter off the bench for Scott Cooper's team this year. The junior guard makes the first free throw. Second shot is no good, and Moore grabs the rebound. Dakota Joachim speeds up and slows down. Now speeds up again and gets to the rim. A layup for Dakota Joachim gives him 8 points for the game. First points of the second half. Saints are back within 4. They cut it down to 2 a moment ago. It's the first time they had been there since very early in the game, as a foul is called on the offense, and that's on Oleg Beggy. That's his 4th. For as competitive as this game has been, it might not be if Oleg Beggy were able to keep himself on the floor in this second half, but he hasn't been able to. He has barely been out there since halftime. And that's a big loss for IUSB. On the bench with 4 fouls as Dakota Joachim takes it right to the tin. 4 straight for Joachim. Again, it's a 2-point game. Mark White working with Stevenson. He dribbles it off the foot of Stevenson and out of bounds. James Stevenson was trying to set a screen. Mark White went right at him, and he dribbled it off the foot of his teammate, and it went right to the sideline and out. St. Francis can tie the score. They can take the lead here. They have not had a lead all game. In fact, we haven't been tied all game since it was 0-0. Joachim gets the screen to his left. Gives it up to DeMarcus Moore. Moore works against Hill. No good. Saints bench wanted a foul called. Moore gets it back, and this time he does get the foul. So DeMarcus Moore with 8:20 on the clock goes to the free throw line with a chance to tie the score. Five points today for Moore. He makes the first one. 77% foul shooter. So this now is as close as the score has been since it was 6-5. And if Moore hits this second free throw, it's as close as it's been since the game started. Titans won the tip, scored on the opening possession. They have held that lead ever since. Can't get them both, so it is still a 1-point lead for Indiana South Bend. But again, it is as close as it's been since the first 2 minutes. Millender works against Sims. Good pass, but White is blocked by Moore. The Saints can take the lead. It's Justin Morgan slowing it down. Morgan looking for Ben Kreitz. Lobs it in the direction of Kreitz, but it's picked off by Colin Schmidt. Saints had their first chance all game to take the lead, and they end up turning it over. A.J. Dunn gets 2 for IUSB. Tough shot for Dunn. Timeout called by Scott Cooper. 7:44 to play in the second half. 54-51 IUSB. Prior to that shot, they had been slumping offensively, and I don't know if I'll say that one shot definitively did end their slump, but it was a big one for them, as it gave them a slight cushion of 3 points. The Saints could still potentially tie the score the next trip down the floor coming out of this timeout. It will be St. Francis basketball once they reclaim their positions. Merrick Small leads the Saints today with 15 points, 7 of 10 shooting for him. Marcy's Moore made 1 of 2 free throws moments ago, so he's got 6 points for the game now, 11 rebounds to lead everybody. Double-digit scoring games already for Joffrey Nunnally, 12 points, and Dakota Joachim, 10. There are also 2 Titans in double figures right now. Kyle Olegbegi, 16 points, 7 of 12 shooting, but he's on the bench. He's only played 16 minutes today. Limited to 12 in the first half after picking up 2 fouls, although his absence wasn't as noticed in the first half because he didn't pick up that second foul until relatively late. But in this second half, he's only played a grand total of 4 minutes, and he's committed 2 more fouls. Andrew Hedgepeth is the other top scorer for Indiana South Bend. He's got 13 on 6 of 10 shooting. Hedgepeth on the season averages only 6 points per game. Olegbegi is their leading scorer. He averages 12. Again, already 16 today. He's been on the bench for the last minute after picking up his 4th foul, and we'll see how long it is before Scott Cooper goes back to him. But plenty of time to go in this one. Saints down by 3 with the ball. It's Delshawn Sims. Bouncing to Ben Kreitz. Handoff Sims looking for the tie. Misses the deep 3. And a foul called on the rebound. It's going to go on Mark White. And that'll be White's 3rd foul. Hard fall for Dakota Joachim, but he's able to get himself back to his feet. And now he's back on the floor again. So struggling to pull himself to his feet and stay there after taking the hard foul. A hard fall, I should say. It didn't look like a particularly hard foul. It was just the angle that he was at when he was undercut by White. Took a tumble. That's a difficult spot to fall from when you're going up high trying to grab a rebound. And obviously not terribly comfortable right now underneath the basket, although he is looking for his contact lens, I think. So I think he was kind of limping around a little bit, but it was more frustration that he can't find his contact lens. They've got the flashlights out there. Yeah, he's walking fine, which is good because he was slow to get up initially. So good to know that he should be good to stay in the game if, in fact, he can see. So issue number 1, it's hard to find a contact lens when you're not wearing your contacts. So everybody else is helping him try to find it right now. Issue number 2, I don't know if he's got any spares. Got to clean that one off before you get it on and hope that it's in one piece right now. He was fouled going up for a rebound. Came down hard, slow to get up initially. Got attention from the training staff, but after that seemed to be doing okay. And then went right back to the ground. I thought initially it's because he was still hurt, but it looks like it's because he didn't have his contact lens. And so we'll see what happens. I don't know that I've ever seen it take so long to find a contact lens, which, to be honest, has always amazed me. I don't know how anybody can ever find a contact on a basketball court. They're small and clear. That doesn't make it easy. Let's take this opportunity to take a look at what's going on around the CCAC today. Fighting Saints came into play 1 game behind Governors State. So a win for St. Francis and a loss for Governors State would mean that the 2 teams would tie for the conference championship. Right now the Saints still trail, so They need to complete this comeback, and then they would need Governor State to lose their game to Judson, which is not going to happen. Quick look at that score shows that the Governor State Jaguars are up by 42 over Judson in the second half. So I think they pretty comfortably have the conference. So we're ready to continue. Joe Kim hits the first free throw. They did call it a flagrant foul. So that gives the Saints a chance to make it a 1-point game and then get the ball back with the opportunity to take the lead. (54-53) as Joe Kim knocks down both free throws. I was looking at the scoreboard. I didn't even see if they found the contact or not. But he's seeing well enough to play. Inbounded to Merrick Small. Here's Joe Kim firing to Delshawn Sims. Sims steps around Dunn, picks up his dribble, and passes over to Joffrey Nunnally. Small handoff right back to Nunnally. Into the corner. Sims for three. Air ball. Rebound Colin Schmidt. South Bend has taken the Saints' best shot here in the second half. They haven't given up this lead yet. Can they extend it? Millender tries to find Dunn. It's picked off instead. He threw it behind him. Sims gets the steal, the layup, and the Saints lead. After trailing for 33 minutes, St. Francis is in front for the first time. 55-54. First points of the game for Delshawn Sims. And it comes on the errant pass. Millender fighting through some defensive pressure. Kicked outside. Mark White for three. No. Rebound to the Fighting Saints. It's Joe Kim. St. Francis has all the momentum now. They trailed by as many as 11. Now they're in front. Nunnally trying to extend the lead. Misses the three. Rebound Colin Schmidt. Just over 6 minutes to play. Millender finds Schmidt. Dunn on the wing, guarded by Nunnally. Drives to his left. Backs in from the baseline into the paint. Dunn jump stop near the free throw line. Ball knocked loose. Stolen by the Saints. It's Joe Kim one-on-one with Millender. No foul called, and it's knocked out of bounds by the Saints. Millender comes up with the good defensive stop. And it remains just a 1-point game. With 5:49 to play, Kyle Olegbegi remains on the bench for IUSB, but they do bring in their other top scorer for the day. Hedgepeth is on the floor. Grayson Harrington returns to the fray for St. Francis. Hedgepeth drives to his left, pivots, kicks out. Schmidt for three and the lead. Off the rim, no good. Nunnally steps up to the three-point line, bounces over to Small. Handoff Joe Kim. Nunnally from the wing. Fires to Merrick Small in the paint, knocked away, got it back. Over to Nunnally, who very nearly stepped out of bounds. Nunnally keeps the possession alive, into Merrick Small. Small, double team, looking for the open shooter, finds Harrington in the corner. Off the mark on the three, rebound Hedgepeth. So both teams have gone quiet offensively now. 55-54. It's been a long stretch for IUSB as the floater misses from Hornbeak. Offensive rebound Stevenson. Hasn't necessarily been a super long scoreless period for South Bend, but it's been a long period where they've struggled to score as Hedgepeth is fouled on his way to the rim. For starters, they only have 15 points the entire second half. We're 15 minutes into it. And it's time for a break. Timeout here with 4:42 on the clock. 55-54 St. Francis. Been over 2 minutes since either team has scored. For IUSB, they've gone over 3 minutes without putting points on the board. They're 5 of 19 from the field here in the second half. Saints haven't shot the ball great since halftime, but enough to erase a 9-point deficit. They are 10 of 23 from the field in the second half. That's 44%. But the Titans' offense has fallen apart. They were firing on all cylinders early. First half, 67%, 39 points. Second half, 26%, 15 points. And I'm not going to put all of that on Olegbegi being on the bench, but it's certainly a part of it. 16 points for him in just 16 minutes played. He has only played 4 minutes since halftime, but barring any more fouls, he will be on the floor for the remainder of the game. He just checked back in. And if he does commit one more foul, he'll be out. But if not, I'd be pretty surprised if we see him get removed. They need his offense right now. They need Hedgepeth's offense as well, and in particular his free throw shooting. Andrew Hedgepeth is not a very strong free throw shooter. He's got 2 attempts here. Just 6 of 12 from the line this season. And he makes the first. It was an adventure, but it did go in. And we're tied at 55. First points in over 3 minutes for IUSB. First time we've been tied today, and it didn't last very long. 56-55 South Bend. Nunnally to Moore up top. Joachim on the left wing. Steps up to the line, lobs it in the post for Merrick Small. Small's been quiet of late. Bounced out to Harrington. Gives it right back to Small, backing down. Good bounce pass to Joachim. Dakota Joachim trying to work his way out of trouble. Finds Harrington in the corner, no good on the 3. Offensive rebound to Marcy's Moore, but taken from him by White. Moore gets the rebound. White gets the steal. Approaching the 4-minute mark. South Bend back in a familiar position. They have the lead. They've had it for all but 2 minutes of this game. Mark White looking down low for Olegbegi. His pass is deflected by Joachim and picked off by Moore. Ahead for Harrington. Saints back in front. Grayson Harrington on the fast break off the steal that Joachim and Moore combined on. Here's Hedgepeth trying to put South Bend back in front. Over to Schmidt, and Schmidt traveled. Lifted that back foot a little bit too early. And on the traveling violation, the Saints have the ball and the lead with 3:33 to play. Joachim at the top of the key. Fires down low to Merrick Small. Small tries to bank it in, comes up a little bit short. The Titans can reclaim the lead here. Hedgepeth picks up his dribble, bounces to Olegbegi. And Olegbegi is fouled by Merrick Small. They brought Kyle Olegbegi back in the game about a minute and a half ago. Wasn't able to get back into the flow of the offense the first couple of possessions since checking back in, but this time he gets himself to the free throw line. 1-1 coming up. First foul shots of the day for Olegbegi. 76% shooter makes the first. Tied for the second time today. We were even at 55, and now we're even at 57. And again, the tie doesn't last very long. IUSB by a point. DeMarcy's Moore passes to Merrick Small. Fired onto the wing, it's Grayson Harrington. DeMarcy's Moore double teamed in the corner, able to work his way out of it. Fires low to Joachim. Dakota Joachim gives it up to Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally weaves his way down low and gets fouled. Nunnally likes to take the shots from the outside. You don't see him put it on the floor all that often, but a nice looking drive right there. And that foul was called on Kyle Olegbegi. That's number 5 on him, so he lasted only 2 more minutes after coming in. 6 minutes, 3 fouls in the second half. And he fouls out. 18 minutes played, 18 points, but he's done for the day as Joffrey Nunnally makes the first free throw. Tied up at 58. And now to give the Fighting Saints the lead back. It's no good. Not only the second best free throw shooter in the CCAC, misses the second one, and for the first time in live game play today, we're tied. 58-58. This game coming down to the wire with 2.5 minutes to play. Especially at the pace we're at right now. Neither team's going to be able to take much of a lead in the last 2.5 minutes. Defenses have been tight. Hornbeek drives, blocked by Nunnally, and Nunnally picks up the loose ball. Both teams have been using up the majority of the shot clock every time they've had it. So unless we get into a foul fest late, we could be at a point where each team possesses the ball only 2 or 3 more times total. Grayson Harrington gives it up to DeMarcy's Moore. Bounce to Merrick Small. Moore again, the shot clock at just 4 seconds. Dakota Joachim steps up to the three-point line, misses it short. Knocked out of bounds, it'll stay here. Ethan Hill back in for Colin Schmidt for IUSB. Harrington is the inbounder for St. Francis. Sends it in to Merrick Small. Sims over to Harrington. Lob down low for Small. Again, double teamed. Small fires across court. Delshawn Sims is open, and he hits the three. Biggest lead of the day for St. Francis, 61-58, with 1.5 minutes left. Mark White into the corner. White backs in on Harrington. White still alive, blocked by Harrington, but fouled with 72 seconds to play. Mark White will try to get the Titans to within 1 point. His first foul shots of the day, and the first one is good. 61-59. Joachim back in for Harrington for the Saints. Kyle Oligbegi, Indiana South Bend's leading scorer with 18 points, has fouled out. So Mark White trying to help pick up the slack, makes just 1 of 2 free throws, but an offensive rebound for James Stevenson. Nearly thrown away. Hill had to go up high to keep that play alive. So now we're coming down to the final minute. Hedgepeth for the lead. Misses the three. Loose ball grabbed again by Stevenson. Knocked out of his hands. Dakota Joachim goes to the ground to pick up the loose ball. St. Francis comes up with the stop. They've got the ball with a 2-point lead, under 1 minute to play. Merrick Small is on the ground. I'm not sure what happened there. He had a run-in with James Stevenson. He's clutching his stomach, but helped to his feet. The officials will get together to determine whether that should have been a foul or not. .47 on the clock. 61-59 St. Francis. 21 on the shot clock here. So if IUSB plays this possession out and doesn't give up any points, they will get the ball with plenty of time, down by 2. Which is why they absolutely do not want a foul call here. Because if the Saints had the chance to score from the free throw line, yeah, it would give you a little bit extra time if you're South Bend playing from behind. But it'll put you down by 2 possessions, which is the much bigger deal right now. So we're getting a timeout call, I think. So the officials have sorted out whatever they need to sort out. They haven't made any signal yet as to what the call is. One of the officials has gone over to talk to both Ryan Marks and Scott Cooper, longtime coaches of their respective teams. And so they've gotten explanations. And I think we had a timeout called in addition to that foul situation. It looked like the Saints were signaling for one. It will be St. Francis basketball, assuming no foul called. It'll be the Saints inbounding it with 21 seconds left on the shot clock. Indiana South Bend led this game for 33 minutes in a row to start. Built a lead of as many as 11, but the Saints never let it get out of hand. Saints fought back. They kept it close the whole second half, and finally, with just under 7 minutes to play in the game, they took their first lead. We've gone back and forth since then. And Delshawn Sims' three-pointer on the last possession for St. Francis gave the Saints their biggest lead of the day. Now it's 61-59. Merrick Small working one-on-one with Stevenson. Small gets underneath, blocked by Stevenson. Small fighting to get it back, but he can't. Pulled in by Ethan Hill. And a timeout is called by IUSB with 29 seconds remaining in a two-point game, 61-59. Merrick Small tried to give the Saints a 4-point lead. It has been few and far between today when he has received a pass and only had one defender in front of him. He took it one-on-one at Stevenson, and James Stevenson held his ground. Came up with a huge block, his second blocked shot of the day. And that preserves for IUSB the one-score deficit, which means that they can tie or take the lead on this possession. They could potentially win it on this possession. Not likely, as there are 2 seconds separating the shot and game clock. So it is conceivable that they could hold on and take the final shot if they run the clock all the way down to the end. But more likely than not, they will make a move sooner than that. Millender will inbound. He's got Hedgepeth with him in the backcourt. Grayson Harrington guarding the length of the floor. Hedgepeth gives it back to Millender. Kyle Millender hands it to Hornbeek. Stevenson, Hedgepeth. He's been their best shooter today. Floats it up in the lane and ties the score at 61, 17.7 on the clock. With Kyle Olegbegi on the bench, you didn't know exactly who the go-to player would be there. But Hedgepeth has had the best day of any of the Titans, and he's the one who makes the play down the lane, tying the score at 61 with 17.7 showing. And now St. Francis almost certainly will hold on to take the final shot of regulation, which means that barring a turnover, we will almost certainly either be seeing overtime or St. Francis celebrating the victory in their final game of the regular season. Saints will have at least one more game in this building this year. They'll be a top 4 seed in the conference tournament. Top 4 get to host. A win today would put them in position to get 2 home games if they were to win round 1. A win for much of today seemed unlikely. They trailed most of the game. But they were the team in the driver's seat with under a minute to play. IUSB needed to make a play in order to put the pressure back on the Fighting Saints. They made the play. And now we'll see who the Saints turn to with the game on the line. Joffrey Nunnally, the leading scorer on the season, is the inbounder. Merrick Small leads the team with 15 points today, but he's had a very quiet second half. Delshawn Sims tries to get it to Small, but it's intercepted by Hedgepeth. Andrew Hedgepeth takes it in, slips, loses his footing, and steps out of bounds. So in the final 15 seconds of the half, both teams turn it over, and the Saints will try it one more time with 4.8 on the clock. And one more time, a timeout is signaled for. It will be St. Francis basketball. Ryan Marks draws up a play on the St. Francis bench. And they'll have to work something out quickly. So apparently there was not a timeout called there, but the Saints got the extra break because of the wet spot on the floor. So even without calling a timeout, Ryan Marks was able to bring his whole team over to the bench. 4.8 on the clock. That's plenty of time to get down the floor and get a clean look. But they've got to inbound it first. DeMarcus Moore sends it into Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally across half court. Nunnally from the top of the key has his three-pointer blocked by Stevenson, and we're going to overtime. Nothing new here for St. Francis. Last time they played in this building, they went to overtime 10 days ago against Olivet Nazarene. A game they eventually won 77-74. But it is just their third overtime game overall this year. They're 2-0, and both of those contests have been played here. For Indiana South Bend, first time they've been in overtime since January 3. They took Calumet College of St. Joseph to an extra period on the road, and they beat Calumet by 12 in overtime that day. But for St. Francis, again, this is back-to-back home games that they've had to go at least an extra 5 minutes. St. Francis fell to Indiana South Bend by 24 points the first time that they met up. 80-56 was the final score in that game back on January 10th. 80-54. It was a 26-point loss. But the Saints have suffered some bad defeats in conference this year, and it hasn't gotten to them. They fell to Governors State the first time they went head-to-head by 12 points on the road, and then got Governors State back at home, and they beat them by 16, so quite a turnaround. They got blown out by Olivet Nazarene 74-55 in their first meeting, and then Olivet came here, and the Saints took them out in overtime. And then they suffered that big loss at Indiana South Bend and are now trying to make it 3 for 3 in revenge games. The opening tip in overtime is won by South Bend. Andrew Hedgepeth leads the offense. He scored the game-tying basket with 17 seconds left. Hedgepeth also had a chance to win it, but lost the ball out of bounds in the closing seconds. Hornbeek takes it down to the baseline, guarded by Nunnally. Hornbeek backs in. Shot clock running low. Turnaround jumper misses. Offensive rebound. Schmidt, second chance. No. Rebound grabbed by Dakota Joachim. That's the 11th rebound of the night for Dakota Joachim. First possession of overtime for the Fighting Saints. A high arcing pass to Merrick Small. It's tipped away. Small can't save it. It ends up going to Mark White. St. Francis turns it over on their first chance in OT. This game has gotten very tight, very low scoring as it's gone on. Floater in the lane is good for C.J. Hornbeek. And then finally somebody's on the board. First lead for South Bend in a little while, and it's weird to say that considering how much they've had the lead today. But the Saints moved ahead with about 3 minutes left in regulation, and this is the first time that South Bend has been back in front ever since. Moore hands it to Nunnally. Nunnally drives. Nunnally flips it off the glass, no good. Rebound deflected, out of bounds. It'll stay here. .3:27 to play. Grayson Harrington will inbound. Lobs it from Eric Small. Joachim to Harrington. Harrington looked inside for Small, didn't have him. Gives it to Nunnally instead. Now it's Small at the top, right back to Nunnally. Joffrey Nunnally, the senior guard, fires over to Moore. Moore drives, 3 on the shot clock, floats it up and misses, but he's fouled on the play. .309 to play. DeMarcy's Moore can tie the score. He is 1 of 2 shooting free throws so far today. DeMarcy's Moore is 1 of 6 seniors who was honored before the game today. Senior night for St. Francis for their final regular season home game of the year. Of the 6 seniors for the Fighting Saints, Moore is the least experienced in a Saints uniform. This is his first year here, but he's been a mainstay in the lineup all season. Third leading scorer for St. Francis this year. He is the only player who has played and started every game this year. Joffrey Nunnally missed 1. Merrick Small missed 2. Moore has not sat one out. First shot coming up from Moore to make it a 1-point game. (63-62). DeMarcy's Moore has 7 points. Big day for him on the boards as well. 12 rebounds to lead everybody on either team. Got them both this time. We're tied at 63. Hedgepeth across half court. Passes over to Stevenson. Stevenson spins right around Merrick Small. Great move by James Stevenson. And the Titans are back in front. Remember, Indiana South Bend is playing without their leading scorer in overtime. Kyle Oligbegi fouled out late in regulation. They're finding guys to make plays anyway. Harrington spins inside. Harrington picks it up and lobs it out to Joffrey Nunnally. Nunnally fires to Harrington. One dribble, right back out to Nunnally, who gives the Saints the lead. Three-pointer, Joffrey Nunnally, 66-65, St. Francis. Just over halfway through the overtime. Hornbeek backs in on Nunnally. Hornbeek trying to take the lead back for the Titans. Misses it short. 13th rebound of the game, grabbed by DeMarcy's Moore. And now the Saints are back in control. I'll say the same thing I said at the end of regulation with 2 minutes left. These teams are playing at a pace right now that there just are not going to be very many possessions remaining. Each one really has to count. Merrick Small bounces down low. He was looking underneath the basket for DeMarcy's Moore, and it's deflected out of Moore's hands and out of bounds. It'll stay with St. Francis. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Ethan Hill comes in for Colin Schmidt for IUSB. Ball's inbounded by Harrington to Small. Small, turnaround, got it. And the Saints' lead is 3, matching their biggest of the afternoon. Huge possession here for IUSB. They need points. Doesn't have to be a 3 to tie it here, but they need something. Drive from White. Mark White backs in on Dakota Joachim, loses the ball and gets it back. Nearly disaster for the Titans. Hedgepeth steps to the three-point line, misses short. Stevenson deflects the rebound out of bounds. He tried to keep it alive, but there wasn't anybody there. And the ball just rolled out the sideline, and now the Saints get it back with 1:08 on the clock. And that's why I made mention of how important that possession was for the Titans to get something, because now the Saints are going to hold on to the ball for a little while. The next time the Titans touch it, there will be well under a minute on the clock. And if the Saints can carry a 2-possession lead along with that, they will be in the catbird seat. Grayson Harrington drives, pulls up in the paint, kicks it out to Nunnally. Bounce to Merrick Small. Small turns to face the basket, up with the right hand. Not this time. Offensive rebound to DeMarcy's Moore. And Ryan Marks wants Grayson Harrington to pull it back. Indiana South Bend not willing to foul just yet. Saints can run it down to about 20 seconds. It's knocked away by Hedgepeth and out of bounds, last touched by the Fighting Saints. So they turn it over. They do use up 45 seconds on the possession. So they used the clock to their great advantage on that possession, but they were not able to score, which means that they've given Indiana South Bend an opening here to tie the score. 68-65, 23 seconds remaining. And so how do you approach this possession if you're IUSB? They don't need a 3 just yet. There's still enough time to score multiple times. before this overtime period ends. But if they are not able to get something quickly, then they might have to fire a three at some point in the possession. And they've got some good shooters taking the floor. Typically, it would be Colin Schmidt or C.J. Hornbeek. They're their leading three-point shooters, and both of them are in the game right now as Schmidt checks back in. But again, that's only if they don't get something quickly to the basket. They won't take a three-pointer early in the possession unless they get a clean, open look. Another timeout called, this one by St. Francis. South Bend is out of timeouts. Saints still have a few left. So Ryan Marks burns one of his three here. 23 seconds on the clock. The Fighting Saints had the ball with 8 seconds remaining in overtime, up by 3. A basket on that possession wouldn't have put the game away, but it would have come close. They weren't able to get one, but they did get the offensive rebound. They ran another 15 seconds off and weren't able to get a shot off that time as they turned the ball over with 5 seconds on the shot clock. So that leaves the door open for the Titans here. Again, looking for something quick, whether it's a 2 or a 3. 3 points remains the largest deficit they've faced all day. Hornbeek gets the pass, gives it to Stevenson. Hedgepeth has hit a couple of big shots today. Passes off this time to Hornbeek, and now they might need a 3. We're getting late. Hornbeek drives, pulls up, 2-point range, rolls around the rim, doesn't go. Offensive rebound. Millender for the tie. No. Rebound loose, picked up by DeMarcus Moore, and that'll do it. St. Francis comes away with an overtime victory, 68-65 the final score. IUSB had 2 chances. They ran that clock down a while, took it inside, tried to get the 2-pointer first with just under 10 seconds remaining. Got the offensive rebound and an open look outside for Millender. Wasn't the guy that they wanted to get that shot for. Millender is not a great three-point shooter, but beggars can't be choosers. And when you're down by 3 with 3 seconds left, you take the shot you can get. Millender was wide open, just wasn't able to knock it down. And St. Francis is able to hold off Indiana South Bend for the 68-65 victory. And it's an impressive win for the Saints. They trailed almost the entire game. The lead went back and forth late, but 3 points was the largest advantage the Saints had at any point today. Their defense was able to help get them back into the game, and it was able to hold off South Bend as well. They held the Titans off the scoreboard for the final 3 minutes of overtime. Big victory today for the Saints as it guarantees them the 2 seed in the CCAC tournament set to begin later this week. The Saints also pick up their 20th victory overall this year. They conclude regular season play with a record of 20-7, 15-5 in conference play. Indiana South Bend finishes up the regular season at 18-10, 13-7 in conference. And for the 3rd time this year, the Saints were given an opportunity to play a team that beat them earlier in the season. And for the 3rd time, they came away with the win. They finished off their opponents with a little revenge each and every time they had the opportunity to do so. Look at some of the final stats in today's game. The Saints ended up shooting 43%. The Titans 46%. Remember, IUSB was at 67% in the first half, and things fell apart after that. St. Francis shot 27% from three-point range, just 25% for IUSB. Big part of the reason for the score being as low as it was, under the averages of both of these teams. Individually, Merrick Small led the Saints with 17 points. Joffrey Nunnally had 16. Dakota Joachim had a double-double with 12 points and a career-best 11 rebounds. DeMarcus Moore just missed a double-double. He had 8 points and 15 rebounds. For Indiana South Bend, Kyle Oligbegi led the team with 18 points. He did that in just 18 minutes. Battled foul trouble the entire second half and ended up fouling out of the game with 3 minutes left in regulation. He missed the last 8 minutes of today's contest, including overtime. 17 points for Andrew Hedgepeth. Colin Schmidt led the team with 7 rebounds, but not enough for the Titans as they fall to St. Francis by a final score of 68-65. Saints will be back at it in the CCAC tournament coming up this week. You can get all the information on where, when, and who at GoFightingSaints.com. That'll do it for today's broadcast. The final one of the regular season for St. Francis as they defeat Indiana South Bend 68-65. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna signing off from Joliet, Illinois. Enjoy the rest of your evening.